What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. Hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the upcoming new album from the band Pyrexia entitled Feast of Iniquity. This is scheduled to be released on October the 29th through Unique Leader Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of New York, and honestly, Pyrexia are one of those New York death metal institutions that has really been vital to keep the New York death metal scene very much alive and thriving. Pretty much within the same league of bands like Suffocation or Internal Bleeding or even Dehumanized. Pyrexia are another one of those bands that really is well known for making heavy music and just keeping things real. Um, Sermon of Mockery, their debut album, is definitely something that gets people talking a lot and really is a sick and fantastic record. Some really incredible musicianship, some hardworking, just a lot of hard work and detail put into that record. Just really awesome. To even some of this band's later material, their 1997 album System of the Animal, that was another good album in its own right, in my opinion. But then, during that time period, there seemed to be a little bit of a break within the band, like the band took a hiatus of some sort. The lead guitarist of the band went on to be in a band called Catastrophic that had band members featuring band members such as Keith DeVito and Trevor Perez of Obituary, the latter Keith being in Internal Bleeding. That project was around for a little while, but then towards the middle of the 2000s, Pyrexia decided to make a return, and in doing so, came back with an album entitled Age of the Wicked, which I thought was a pretty damn sick album and pretty much business as usual within the Pyrexia front. Now, it's been quite a while, but we have a brand new full-length from this band entitled Feast of Iniquity. It's 10 tracks, and it clocks in at around 30 minutes in length, so this is a pretty straightforward, get-to-the-point type of record. And once you listen to this, you pretty much will see that this is Pyrexia business as usual. It's pretty much heavy emphasis on grooves, but a whole lot of emphasis on destructive, chaotic songwriting. And I honestly think this is a very much welcome return for these guys. The riffs tell the story of this album quite good. I'm really enjoying the heaviness and the devastation that is in the guitar work. I think the riffs are just fantastic. There's a little bit of that groove element going on within some of these guitar riffs, and that's really what represents the current day sound of Pyrexia, is just the almost infectious groove that you hear within the guitar riffs, preferably on some of the opening beginning tracks like the Pendulum and Infliction. You get some really, really sick riff work going on here, and it's definitely showcasing itself of why Pyrexia do what they do very well. I enjoy the way that the riffs are being executed and played here. Even the solos sound great. I really enjoy the way the solo work sounds. It sounds fantastic. The bass work sounds good too. It has a very gritty, audible kind of vibe. I want to say on the track Thy Minion, you get some really good bass licking going on with that particular track. But I think as a whole, the bass work on here sounds very nice, very clean, very well mixed and produced. Drum-wise, if I'm not mistaken, there are two drummers on this album, which I think is... I honestly can't tell who is who, but I know one of the drummers is the guy that's currently been drumming with Pyrexia, Doug Bone, and the other being Dave Colross. The catalyst between the two is that they both used to play or are currently playing in Suffocation. Of course, Dave Colross played on the previous Suffocation record, Pinnacle of Bedlam, which I think is still an awesome release. If you haven't heard new Suffocation yet, definitely get up on that. And I think Doug Bone played on the Pierced from Within record. I'm pretty sure that's what he played on, but yeah, it's all trying to think of things. But anyway, can't tell who's who on this album, but the drum work is very fluid. I think it's very well played. The blast beats, the double bass, the drum fills, there's some really good patterns going on here within the drums, and I'm enjoying the way that both are being played and executed here. I think it adds a little bit of a nice dynamic to an already fast-paced type of record. And another thing to point out is the fact that this album does have a very clean and crisp production style. Pretty much what you would expect on a more modernized New York death metal album. I know Suffocation and Dehumanized do this kind of style a little bit differently as well, but I think the production sounds really good here. It's far and away different from what you would used to hear as far as the old Pyrexia stuff is concerned, but I think the production work here is pretty cool. And vocal-wise, vocals are pretty much on aggressive and attack mode here. Really great vocal styles. I'm digging the growls. I'm digging the screams. I think there's a lot of good variety within the vocals here. Yeah, pretty much where I'm getting a little bit of that old school New York death metal vibe within some of the vocals. Even to some of the more shouty type of vocals, I think it's really cool. So, overall, I think this is another nice addition to the Pyrexia discography. I think there's a lot of good, solid work to be heard on this album. Great vocal work, great musicianship. Very solid release, and I'm looking forward to when it's available to own. So, yeah. Again, the album, if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say the Pendulum, Infliction, Cryptic Summoning is another top-notch track, Thy Minion, and Wheel of Impurity. Some really well-thought-out tracks here. Like I said, this is a pretty short record. It's only 30 minutes. It'll fly by past you very well, but I think it's definitely worthy of multiple listens if you want to give it a shot. So, if you're into the current era of Pyrexia, I think you will enjoy this a lot more than their previous record. Of course, Sermon of Mockery is still where it's at for me with this band, but I still respect them for what they're doing and accomplishing. So, again, the album is Feast of Iniquity by Pyrexia. This is going to be released on October the 29th through Unique Leader Records. Pick this up when it's available, and for the time being, I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10. Really awesome New York death metal from an awesome New York death metal band. So support Pyrexia. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Armijo out.